Welcome back to Supercar Connection. You can find us on social media at Supercar Connection and full episodes on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and video on YouTube. Please follow, like, subscribe, comment what you think, send us to another car lover. Your support is what allows us to make this better each and every week. I'm Gavin, and this is my boy Joe, and we're here to talk about cars.
Welcome back to Supercar Connection. Today on this episode, we're going to start a little different. We're going to start with a new segment that we're going to call Market Check. Gavin, you want to segue us in?
Well, you kind of already did, but
did I go too hard on the intro?
No, you told them exactly.
Well, at least explain to them exactly what we want Market Check to be.
You segued us in. So basically, Market Check. I mean, you've already heard it. We love talking about the market, the current prices, what's going on. So we're just going to kind of like have a more intentional segment where we kind of talk about something crazy we saw, like pricing wise,
right?
Whether bad or good,
right?
So that's kind of the idea of this. We love talking about the market, and I figure you probably would enjoy hearing.
To be honest, I don't think these people understand that like we literally spend every single day continuously checking through various models and stuff like that to know exactly what price is what cars are dropping, what cars are rising, what's hot, what's not, what's selling, what's not.
Yeah, we're tapped in. We're tapped in.
Always tapped in. Trying to stay tapped in as much as possible.
I've been tapped in since I was like when I was a kid.
Uh-huh.
And I don't want to derail too long, but I got two quick stories that's just relevant here that I have to get in before we go into Market Check, the official Market Check.
Let's hit it.
So when I was a kid, like 4th, 5th grade, I would go on eBay Motors and just search all cars and trucks and then sort from highest to lowest. eBay Motors, because like there wasn't all those nice cars. There wasn't like we're talking like 2005. So there wasn't like all these websites that we have today where you can go look at cars.
Car Gurus existed back then.
So I would get the DuPont Registry magazine, which was like expensive car listings. Yes, right. Legit. So every month I'd like get the DuPont Registry magazine, would be like flipping through, and that's got prices, that's market stuff. Like I was always eating that up. And then once I found eBay Motors, I could look at this stuff online where I could just sort high to low. So the first things would be like, the Veyrons and the Enzos, and like that's how I would work down the list. And so I just scroll down for the most expensive cars because I could look at these cars and their prices, and there'd be like 40 pictures of them. That was the big thing. I was like, I can really see every like angle of these cars. So
this was back in 2005?
Maybe 6.
Okay, let's say in the mid 2000s.
Yeah. That's
what you were doing in the mid 2000s?
When I was legit in elementary school doing this.
That's wild.
On the computer.
All I cared about was eating Uncrustables and playing basketball at recess. You were out here looking at the full DuPont Registry magazine, cycling through.
I've been tapped in for decades.
That is insane.
That's all I'm saying.
I haven't been tapped in that long. I can't even front. That's insane.
That's an old story, new story, and then we'll go into it. I'm looking at that R8. I literally send you an R8 on Car Gurus. This is a couple weeks ago.
Right. It's a nice spec too.
Yeah,
and a good deal to be honest.
I want an R8 eventually. That's what I'm trying to move towards. So I keep extra close on that market. And there was an R8 V8, which I really want a V10, but this was just like a perfect spec. So I was like, I might as well just like look at it.
And the deal too.
Yeah, it was a great deal, and it had like a ton of options, and it was a 14, and the 14's got the dual clutch, so that's like a big thing to me.
That's a huge change. Because the 14's what? The 14's is.
It's still the
right
old
before the new body style. Yeah. It's right before the new body style.
It's still the old body style, but the Huracan had just come out, so they took the dual clutch transmission,
everything out of there,
and just plugged it right into the existing R8 before they redesigned it.
Mileage was relatively low for those cars too, for being a 14. I think the deal was like would have had like less than 30 or right at 30 or something like that.
Yeah,
which on a 14 is insanity
with a dual clutch. Too.
With a dual clutch, too.
That helps because the other transmissions are known. You gotta swap them out. That's expensive. But this one, and it had the red seats, which is like super rare.
Oh yeah, red interior is.
So it was the Daytona gray with the red seats, and so I was like, that's a beautiful spec. Like if I was getting an R8 today, like this might be the one I'd have to get with the deal and everything. And then 3 days later, after I sent you that car, I'm walking the dog, and this thing is driving through the neighborhood with paper plates on it.
This was I remember you texted me, and I was like, "You're capping."
This was for sale. What, like 40, 50? I want to say it was like Orange County. It was for sale. So this thing was for sale 40, 50 miles away, and this thing drives by, and I was like, that's literally the car I just sent Joe. And I pulled up the listing, and it said no longer available, and I was like,
what are the chances?
What are the chances? And of course, only I would recognize because of the specific rare options it had that I was like, no, that's the one. And then
did
it
it look as clean?
Plates.
Did it look as clean in person?
Ridiculous.
Really?
Ridiculous. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of that Daytona gray though.
I don't. It looks good on the R8.
It does.
Yeah.
I don't know. For me, when it comes to that body style, or at least those type of cars, like I mean, again, I'm more plain Jane than you are. I like white. I like black. I can maybe do a red, or maybe even like, depending, I could do like maybe even like a different type of blue, like a real light baby blue, kind of like that Porsche. I don't know what Porsche what calls it, but the new like 911s have this like blue color, not shark blue, almost like Rapide blue. Yeah, like that's
the shark blue.
Shark blue is different than Rapide blue.
But they're close.
They're semi-close. I think shark blue is shark
blue is what you
deeper.
see, which you saw all the GT3s in.
Yes,
when the GT3 came out, and
then the Rapide blue is like a lighter, little like more baby blue type color. I could do that, but then when you get into like the grays, the tan, the purples, the orange, stuff like that.
You're gonna put gray with tan?
Huh?
You're gonna put gray in the same category as tan?
I honestly, I will.
That Daytona gray. So I think gray looks really good with carbon fiber and then black accents.
That's fair.
So this thing had I think it had it had black wheels.
It had black wheels, black high wing,
It had the carbon fiber side sill. So it was like gray with the all black and the red calipers, and then the red interior. It was a clean spec. It was a clean spec. Market check.
Let's do it.
Yeah, that was even kind of related to market check.
It was actually kind of related to market check. We can even talk about the R8.
I think that was like 70-something thousand.
Right around that price
for a really clean R8 V8.
That is insane price point.
Yeah.
I don't think, to be honest with you, even in that category, I mean, the problem with that price range is you're in the direct price range of probably the best budget vehicle on the market. In the $70,000 range,
he's gonna say the C8.
The C706. It's impossible.
Yeah.
There is no better. But even still, like for the supercar dynamic, even being the R8 at that price point,
the C706.
Yeah, 70 at 70.
Yeah, I got you.
At 70, you can find a C. Do you think there's C8s for 70?
I haven't looked at the C8.
I mean, there probably is now, but there's. You're talking about like a 1LZ with no front lift. You got a tan interior, silver wheels, no wing. No.
Yeah.
That R8 for that price range is ridiculous. Because again, the only competitor in that price range that's reasonable is the C706.
Yeah.
How would those cars do against each other? I'm pretty sure the Z06 would smoke it.
Oh, for sure.
Smoke it.
Yeah, smoke it. I think the R8 V8 does like 4 seconds to 60. Probably like 3. We'll go 3.8.
Oh, that's why it's priced there.
Yeah, exactly. It was because it's like
how crazy is the performance change when it goes to the V10?
It's not. I don't even think the V8 is 500 horsepower. I think it's like 495. So we're talking like early 2000s supercar performance numbers.
Yeah, that's true.
That's like the 04 Gallardo.
Some of those 04 Gallardos, you can push them. I've seen some of these crazy Gallardos where they'll put turbos on them.
Stuff.
Oh,
yeah,
no,
of course.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, Underground Racing been in that game for a long time.
Or even put some nitrous on some of those things.
Tapped in.
Forget it, dude. Forget it.
Yeah.
What is it? 312 Racing or something like that? Like all the illegal street racing they would do in Mexico or wherever they always say it's at, but it's probably somewhere just in Orange County. Somewhere around Manny Koshman's warehouse, they're doing crazy drag races late at night, like 3 o'clock in the morning. Trying to think of another one that we could do spec check, or at least, market check. I know the G-Wagon pricing very aggressively. I know that market very well.
Well, here's where we're going to go into this, and I'm going to even just like share this so you can see.
Let's do it.
So
throw it up on the screen.
So
over the monitor.
There's video evidence here.
Yeah, that way.
So this way
we'll clip it.
This is the new 2024 Maserati.
That's a Granturismo?
Yeah.
For $231?
$231.
MSRP?
Yes, MSRP.
Are these people insane?
That's what I'm saying.
A Granturismo, brand new MSRP $231. If you told me that was markup, I'd be like, okay, they're delusional, but I can see that happening.
No, this is MSRP. There's no way they're marking this thing up a single cent.
See,
not even close.
Let me tell you what's the biggest problem with that price range. Let's say even realistically, depending on cost and how much they put into the car, I have no idea what the expenses would be for this type of vehicle. At least for Maserati.
I know what the depreciation would be.
That's what I'm saying. Literally, the second you buy that car for that price and you drive off the lot, that
$100,000 gone.
Gone. $100,000 gone. And then after 10 miles,
gone.
Yeah, and then 10 miles later, your motor blows, and now you're sitting there and you got what, $7,000 worth of car, and you just paid $231 out the door.
Bro, $231,000.
That is
for
insanity.
A Gran Turismo. I think they're lost.
Is there any new lure, or what's the lure for the price range? Because you're in Huracan price range now.
So,
or at least you're in used Huracan price range.
They're lure. That's what you're saying, yeah.
Lure.
Yeah.
Is that not the right word?
No.
Lure?
It is.
What would lures for, like? What is the appeal? What's the appeal for that price range?
So it's got the MC20 Nettuno V6. which is so
okay.
the Nettuno V6 engine that they have in the MC20. It's
That's
like
the
it's got
reason for
same
justifying this price
Pretty much,
range?
yeah.
They're insane.
You're telling me. You know what? Here's a picture for you.
Hit me.
The DB12 the new DB12.
Yeah.
Cheaper than this.
The new DB12 is monstrous too.
Yeah.
I like the way that looks. With the new updated interior too, that Aston Martin's been overdue for.
Amazing updated interior. And that thing's pushing 700 horsepower.
Yeah, that thing's ridiculous.
And this is V6.
See, my question is, who's buying this?
That's my question.
Who is buying this car? I have a picture in my head who I would imagine is buying this car, but I can't imagine somebody really go, all right, I have $231,000 to spend. Not even whether it's cash or down payment, whatever. They go in that price range and they go, all right, everything in the price range. This is what I want. I want a brand new Maserati Granturismo.
238. How about that one?
That's even insane.
Yeah,
what's the difference? Does this one just have what? Red interior?
Matte paint and red interior.
Okay, matte paint.
The matte paint's probably expensive. But dude,
I don't know,
that's just insane. I really don't know who's buying it. I think they're going to sell a couple just because there's that many people in the world that want an expensive car.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they're going to be like, we'll give it to you for $200.
You'll have somebody that's like, I want something different.
They're going to be like, and we'll give you $30,000 off because that's what they're going to have to do. But this is literally as much as or more than in some cases the MC20.
You know what's
so
crazy?
Their mid-engine supercar, top of the everything.
That looks unreal.
They priced this the same. They said this is worth the same amount of money.
They're insane.
I know they're different cars. Like this is truly a Grand Tourer.
You know what this is giving me?
2 back seats and it's got a big trunk and the MC20 doesn't have that.
This is giving me major McLaren GT vibes because McLaren GT MSRP is right around the same price, but you have 2-3-year-old GTs with less than 10,000 miles, as low as 160, 170. So you're already talking about $60,000 worth of depreciation, 2 years, less than 10,000 miles.
Yeah,
this is exactly what's going to happen to these cars. Because you're talking about if you get it, even if you buy an MSRP,
it's going to be even worse. I think it's going to be way worse.
It's kind of what's happening now. Like, okay, you take like the new Corvette Z06. That market adjustment is because that price point that they're selling at, because they're selling for 180.
Yeah,
like with dealer markup, people are buying them at 180. People with the money, they're like, all right. Should I go out buy a used Lambo? Should I get a used Ferrari? Do I get a used McLaren? Or do I get a brand new Corvette Z06 from the dealer? Even if I have to pay the markup, you're still buying a better car at that price. This is going to, as soon as people buy it and they adjust the market, these things are going to be sitting at what? 150?
For sure.
A year from now? Or how quick? That's the next question. How quick do you think it gets to that price level?
A year.
A year?
A year.
A full year?
From 230 to 150? If you drive that thing for 1 year and put 8,000 miles on it, it'll be 150.
Absolutely. It's done.
Easy.
Did they at least redo the interior on these things comparative to the older models?
The whole thing's redone.
I still don't see it.
Yeah, I don't see it either. I mean, when you put it up against like the DB12, because you got to look at the competitors, right? Mm-hmm. Like the McLaren GT doesn't have 4 seats. Nope. The trunk isn't as big as this. Like this is a different.
Nope. And that's supposed to be the GT supercar, like the daily driving supercar.
Yeah. So this is like we're looking at like the DB12. We're looking at the AMG GT.
I was like, are we considering the Mercedes
that you can now get in the 2x2?
Yeah.
And then we're looking at like, I mean, I'd even say a 911.
911, I was like, are we considering 911 a competitor in this?
Yeah, a 911 could be a competitor. It might be a little different, but like the turbo. Well, the turbo's.
The 4S?
Another market check for you. I was like checking out the 911 market a little bit. That 220 mark, you were looking at GTSs now.
GTSs for 220?
Yeah.
So what are GT3s?
GT3s are 300.
That's ridiculous.
And then turbo S's are like 300 plus as well, like 330.
Well, that's someone just fine. I get that. Like a GT, what is the GT2 RS going for?
Like 500.
Yeah, those things are ridiculous. My thing is
the GT2 RS. I don't know.
You know this, and people now know this. Just from you listen to one episode, it's very evident. I'm not a huge Porsche guy, but to even talk about the fact that this Gran Turismo is a competitor to the 911 is the utmost disrespect to Porsche.
Oh yeah, well,
insanity. I mean,
it just shows you like it's not a competition.
It's not. It's ridiculous.
It's like that's your option. You can. I mean, you literally only do a Gran Turismo over a 911 because of the Maserati badge. That didn't even carry that much weight anymore.
It doesn't. It's never carried
since
much
the
weight.
Ghibli. The weight of that name is gone.
Oh, absolutely.
It carried weight before the Ghibli.
You think so?
Yeah.
I think I'll give it a little
Having
bit of weight.
Having a Maserati
a little bit of weight
before the Ghibli came out,
a little bit of weight
was kind of big time.
Ever since that car came out, the type of person who buys that car, it's just, I mean,
I'm telling you, the Ghibli completely ruined their image.
It did. It destroyed the brand. Now I'm just trying to think. I think, in my opinion, the only reason they have it priced like that is like, they're like, how many people can we trick into paying this for this? That's all that it is.
Yeah.
The loyal Maserati customers, all 6 of them. Huh?
Continental GT is
Now you're
more, but you're talking about like I take a 1-year-old Continental GT over that Maserati.
I would take a 4-year-old Continental GT. Give me 2020 and newer GT. Give me anything Aston Martin, anything Bentley, anything in that realm. Porsche, 2020 and newer. I'm taking over that.
Mercedes,
anything Mercedes.
Yeah, it's that. So I think that's just ridiculous. That's just like I don't even know what to say about that.
Well, I don't know. It's just, but I guarantee you'll see them on the road. You'll laugh. Next time you see one of those on the road, the newer Granturismos, just remember that you're looking at a $230,000, $225,000, $240,000 car that someone probably bought. And now, when you see it in real time, you're looking at $100,000, $125,000.
To be fair, if you see one, it might not be the Trofeo, and they might not have paid that much.
The Trofeo is what makes it.
Yeah, the Trofeo, the top one with the V6 and the Tuno.
That's what makes it the big.
That's what makes it the big one.
So what's the big kick with all these V6s? What's going on with these V6s?
Everyone's downsizing because of all the European taxes they got.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, they got like cylinder taxes.
Because now everyone's going crazy with this whole inline Porsche. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's always been a cult thing with like the inline Porsche, the inline V6, that Porsche. Yeah, flat 6. But I don't know. For me, that's not my style. I'm a big V8 type of guy, but I'm more like American muscle type of guy more than anything. Even though I'm not 100% American muscle, I'm more so that than like, for example, all the 911 conversation we had. I'm not huge into that.
I like cylinders.
You are. You do.
So a
that's more your style,
aspirated V10 or V12. That's me.
Oh no, yeah, that's different though.
Because of the sound that it makes, that rip, all that stuff, like,
is ridiculous.
That's what I'm in for. So I don't like when I'm looking at 2 cars and I'm like, oh, I could get this twin turbo V6 Ferrari, even though like all the reviews say that it's like this amazing car, and then the McLaren Artura, everyone says it's like,
crazy.
Yeah, they're
because those are holding value.
Yeah,
those McLarens are holding value
because they're still new.
Yeah, I guess this would be another part of market check here too. But even just taking the brand McLaren, if you look at the recent 4 models, I'll give you 4 McLaren models right now: McLaren GT, 570, 600 LT, Artura. Okay, you take those 4 models and you look at the years, mileage, and price range of all of them. The cheapest one out of all 3, believe it or not, or I guess arguably they're right at the same point, the GT, which came out in 2020, first production year, is now cheaper and sometimes at the same price level as the 570, which you have 16s, 17s, 18s for the same price as 21, 22 McLaren GTs.
Yeah.
Which is insane to me.
Yeah, because the GT is objectively a better car.
Objectively, on paper, it's a better car. Because you're talking north of 600 horsepower, all the new technology, even though McLaren technology inside is like 12 years old, it's relatively new technology for the car. But you have it now priced literally like $40,000, $50,000 depreciation compared to 570s that I think relatively with the same price, like MSRP-wise, now are still staying at that bottom. Like I think bottom
especially for like comparative mileage, because there's 570s with way more miles than there are like any GT.
Right.
So those go for like 140.
Yeah.
But there's no like
not much lower than 140. Like even 140 is like bottom.
Exactly. Like that, we're talking like 40, 50,000 miles. Yes. But there's no GTs with 40, 50,000 miles.
You're having GTs with like 8,000 miles being priced the same as like 17 570s with like 20,000 miles.
Yeah.
Then the 600 LTs are still staying close to the $200,000 range. You have, I think I've seen multiple like 19 600 LTs that literally with like 12,000 miles sitting right at the 189 to like 210 range, which is insane to me. And then the Arturos are literally sitting at the 240, 225 range.
Yeah, because
those things aren't going down whatsoever.
They're new.
It's always even like that still, McLaren is literally the whole thing about McLaren and the whole problem with it. And again, this is coming from somebody that's never owned a McLaren, so now I'm just talking out of the fairy dust. But what I've heard in the whole dynamic and the constant narrative with these vehicles, that when they do work, when they are driving in perfect condition and you have the ability to really get on them, their performance is insanity. But the amount of time anything malfunctions and the amount of time it normally spends in a service room, the weight of the car, depending, you end up buying, let's say I own the car for 2 years, you'll probably end up driving it realistically like 4 months. Besides that, it's in service. That's probably why, I think that's partially the reason why these GTs are dropping so much.
You think so? Because even the GTs are having that kind of problem?
The GTs, I think right now are having like the most common problem. Like I think
Really?
that's why the price is dropping so much. Because again, a couple of buddies of mine have owned them now for 2-3 years.
Yeah.
They've told me that literally the amount of time that it's been at the dealer for service is far surpassing what they've driven the car for.
Wow, that's crazy.
And again, these are leases, thankfully. So like the service bills they haven't been paying for, but let's think a McLaren service bill for the most ridiculous thing is going to be no less than $4, $5, $6 grand.
You know what else I think the problem is though?
No.
Is it looks so much like the C8.
It looks like the C8 or
it looks like
the C8 looks like it.
Either way.
Because they came out 2020, both of them.
Yeah, exactly.
So who do you think modeled what after what?
I don't think either of them modeled. I think they just came out and they just happen to be very similar.
I think so too. I guarantee
Corvette, because there's no way McLaren would, because Corvette, that design had been in the works. There's no way the Corvette looked at the McLaren design and was like, ooh, let's model it after this.
No, I don't think.
And there's no way McLaren looked at the Corvette design and like, let's model it after this.
Not at all.
So I think it's this crazy coincidence that they look similar.
Yeah,
but they do look similar.
They do look a lot similar. I know the Corvette C8 design, or at least the design performance aspect of it, design/performance aspect of it, was more so like a 458, and they even did like a couple 911s to like see the dynamic. But yeah, it's relatively modeled after the 458. And
so you got that GT, and what was I going to say?
Don't lose me here.
You might have just lost me. we have the McLaren. We're talking about the McLaren GT,
which again, like I'm telling you, is. I think that car, if it continues like this, you'll see them. I mean, again, granted, depends on interest rates and everything in between. But depending on the way those cars go, you can probably pick up a 2020. Maybe let's say time frame 2 years from now, depending on what happens, you could probably get a 2020 for less than 150,000, like 130,000.
And that'll be a great deal.
That would be a great deal if you can keep it on the street.
Because we're talking about how it looks so much like the C8.
Yes.
And I think that's the problem, because like when a 570 drives by, people that don't know what they're looking at still know that's a crazy car.
Yeah.
The McLaren GT doesn't quite like elicit the same reaction.
That's true.
It's a little softer.
It is. And it's a little, it's elongated, it's more sleek.
If you're buying a McLaren, you're doing that for a reason.
That's true.
You know? I think that's part of where the miss was. They got to realize that they have to keep making their cars look crazy.
Especially you get a 570S with like a big wing in the back or something like that too. Those things are nasty. Nasty.
Because when people are looking at Lamborghini, and now even Ferrari's going crazy now.
Yeah, Ferrari's changing the whole brand now. I think Ferrari's doing.
How can you compete if you're gonna like release soft designs? That's probably what the GT taught them. They saw that and they're like, we can't. Yeah, we have to stay edgy.
Well, I know relatively the whole point of the GT was to kind of combine like the supercar performance with the comfort and the easy access of a GT car. Yeah. So I think the toned down look. Okay, at least what I'm trying to say is
no, I know what you're saying.
The market that they're trying to appeal to isn't the type of market that looks at supercars and they're like, I want overly aggressive.
Yeah.
Because again, the whole point of the car is performance mixed with daily driver. So they're probably like, all right, we're going to tone down the craziness because we're trying to go after the doctor, the high-end dentist, the realtor that's trying to have the image part of him set down with this car. So they're like, what type of car and what type of appeal does this person like? And more than likely, the over-aggressiveness is probably what they didn't want.
Yeah, but the problem is they didn't go far enough into GT land.
I agree with you 100%.
Because it's like they're still, at the end of the day, it's still a supercar.
Exactly.
Like it is not full GT. It is not an Aston Martin DB12, DB11. It's not a Bentley GT.
Yep, it's not in that. I think they tried to, or they at least wanted to at least dip their toe in it.
They thought those people were going to go to them instead.
They're insane.
Which was a super bad choice. Yeah, if you wanted to make they could have made like a real GT car if they wanted to, but that just doesn't fit their brand. So they were trying to like steal, market share from them while remaining in their brand. And then it backfired because the people that want the crazy stuff didn't want the car, and the people that want a GT car didn't want the car. So now
you're sitting here with these depreciation vehicles.
Now you can get one for 150, 160.
It's insanity.
So that was the miss with the GT.
You know what's funny too? Like talking about the McLaren brand one of the things that like this, I guess more so segues into like a question for you.
Yeah.
Okay, when you think of supercar, when you think of the most common supercar brands, you think of Lamborghini, Ferrari. Is it crazy to say McLaren as the third one in that realm? What would you think of before McLaren if you're thinking you hear the word supercar? What do you think besides Lamborghini and Ferrari? Where does your brain go after that? McLaren, no? Tell me I'm wrong.
Oh yeah, like right now?
Right now.
Yeah. McLaren.
Top three, right?
Yes, for
you
sure.
look at what McLaren's doing, they're going completely in the opposite direction. Not relatively opposite, but they're taking a different approach than what Ferrari and Lamborghini are doing right now.
Yeah.
Like what are we going to see a McLaren SUV pop out of the works?
We are, for sure.
You think so?
Yeah.
I think so. I think it'd be smart on their part, but the only thing is, again, too, who's going to buy that?
I don't know.
What price point would they put that car at? What type of whole dynamic? Because the whole thing with McLaren is the technology that McLaren uses and the way that the interior is. I think that's what part of the reason what McLaren is lacked behind Lamborghini and Ferrari is because their interior is garbage compared to Lambo and Ferrari.
It doesn't feel the same for sure.
It doesn't. I feel like again, from test driving the GT and going to look at them to potentially trying to purchase one, those cars, the interior, you get in it and you're like, all right, I know this is a supercar. I know what I'm in. But then you really look at the interior and you're like, I'm going to pay this for this? This is ridiculous.
Because you think Lamborghini, once they got involved with VW, everything just got so much better.
Yeah.
Because
relatively. There's pros and cons to that dynamic.
Sure, but the pros outweigh the cons because like I see it as Lamborghini brings all the materials. They're like, we have the highest quality materials, right?
Right, because you're a big material guy.
It's kind of like an Hermes belt.
Yeah, you're a big material guy. You buy it
because like they're special leather, that all that stuff.
Right.
Like that's why you pay $1,200 for a belt.
That's fair.
And the H buckle.
Yes, that's fair. You pay for the imagery as well.
But
that's
at the end of the day,
Lamborghini brand brings.
It's a belt.
Exactly.
So you got the Lamborghini. At the end of the day, it's kind of a VW, but they get all the backing.
It is a VW.
They get all the backing in the R&D of VW to like really create like a quality interior with a quality infotainment and setup and everything like that.
Apple CarPlay.
Yeah.
That's a huge check plus for me.
All of that stuff.
I'm a big Apple CarPlay guy.
And then they're like, but we still supply the Italian leather and Alcantara.
Crazy
and all that
interiors,
stuff.
all the
Carbon
crazy
fiber
colors,
in-house.
everything in between.
We do all that and put it over the top of this like nicely produced system that we wouldn't have had the money to build.
Yeah. Whereas the McLaren interior is like, I don't even know. I mean, I'm going to mispronounce the brand name, but I even know like looking at the speakers, when you just look at the doors, you see the speaker brand. I forgot what British brand they use, but I think it's like Bowers and Wilkins or something like that. Is that how you pronounce it? Right. Please correct me if I'm mispronouncing that.
You nailed it.
I nailed it? Yeah. That was a shot in the dark. I'm
pretty sure they use them, but
no, that's what they use for the sound system. Yeah. Granted, I don't know what they do comparative for like the infotainment that they have on McLarens, but
anyway,
it's trash.
Yeah.
Don't get if your criteria is comfort and easiness in the interior, McLaren is not the brand to choose.
And then you look at Ferrari and it's like
Ferrari's minimal. They have a more minimalistic design compared to Lamborghini. That's more like the infotainment system is bigger, the way that they have the center console.
But their classic like stitching patterns.
It's very still. It's
all
prevalent.
That stuff.
They haven't gone away from
contrast stitching, all the like how nice the leather is, all that stuff, and all the carbon is like.
The minimalistic dynamic is my favorite, though.
It's a step up.
It's 100%
compared to McLaren.
Up. Like you can look at the SF90 interior. That interior is insanity.
I saw one yesterday.
You saw SF90?
Yeah.
How was it?
It was
wild.
Weird. It was like Ferrari day. I saw 4 Ferraris yesterday.
That's insanity.
I didn't see any Lambos, anything else. I saw 4 Ferraris.
Nothing. For me, the SF90 is just. I just can't believe the price point on that car.
It's crazy.
I think it's insanity.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, I know there's levels to the game, so like I'm not mad about it, but it's more so like I just can't believe that. Like it upsets me to know that there's people out there that can afford that, and they're like, yeah, no, that's what I drive.
Yeah, that's
like
what
I'm trying to get there. Like that's what I need that. I need to be able to be like, yeah, I got an SF90.
Like every like all the feedback I've seen on that from people that drive them is that anyone that's driving one of those has driven everything else, and it like all the consensus to me seems like it's just the fastest feeling car.
It's
of all
just
time.
that much better than everything else. Because what's in that price range? Aventadors now?
600, yeah, Aventadors.
Well, Aventadors are only in that price range because they discontinued them. No? Am I wrong?
Yeah, pretty much.
Right? Because before the discontinuation and the whole COVID dynamic, Aventadors were what? You can probably get even like a older Aventador with not crazy high mileage back in the day for what? 350? 300?
So you're looking at Aventadors, which have the stunt, but are no way keeping up with an SF90.
No. But some Aventadors are priced insane. Like, I think you sent me one this week that was like, I mean, don't get me wrong, it looked insane, but I don't even remember what year it was. But it would have had like just north of 30,000 miles. Do you remember what year the one you sent me was? I know it wasn't brand new.
It was an S though. So maybe 18.
18?
It was an S.
So you got an 18 Aventador S with 30,000 plus miles. Let's go 33 just to smack a number in there. It was 28?
It was 28.
28? I don't doubt it.
I rounded up to 30.
Yeah, your mind is insane. But 28,000 miles. And it priced for what? It was north of 500? 400?
It was 450.
450. That's
450
ridiculous.
for a car. That was my thing. I was like, how about 450 for a car with 30,000 miles on it?
That's insanity. Okay, for that price range, not that price range. If you had the two options, would you take an SF90 or that Aventador?
I mean, it'd be hard.
And I'm not saying any aspect of money's not the issue, but I'm
Yeah.
saying if you could afford both, which if you could afford SF90, the Aventador is a joke.
Yeah, that's
Or not, it's a joke, but the 450 price tag on it is a joke. But you just the two cars themselves, a brand new SF90 versus that Aventador, with your history of being a Lamborghini fiend, what would you take?
It'd be really hard.
It would?
It would be.
That's insane.
Because I
That's
just
insane.
know how much better of a car the SF90 is.
That's true.
Like driving wise.
You got to ignore that though.
I know.
It's just a Lamborghini. Just the V12 screaming is enough for me to be like, consider this.
You're right. Aventador, I'd take the Aventador.
I knew it.
Yeah.
I do it. Because
Especially
SF90 is wild.
You can probably find an SV for 600.
You
Not
probably
an
could.
SVJ, but like
No,
the
you couldn't.
SV, which I'd rather have anyway. You could probably find an SV for that kind of price.
You know, speaking of SVJs and SVs, I was getting this Blue Bottle coffee here this morning, and all of a sudden I get out of the car and I just hear this crazy noise screeching. And at first I was like, what is that? And then my trained ear honed in and I was like, that's a V12. And all of a sudden another downshift hits and then it goes, and I hear it again. And then the thing is, it wasn't getting farther away. It was getting closer. So the next thing you know, I turned my head to the street, a white, white with black SVJ badging and white wheels screaming down Ventura right now. Screaming. And
was that here?
Yeah, Ventura right here. Literally like, what, 45 minutes before this?
Yeah.
It was insane. But again, people don't realize the way that car screams and the noise of that car is a large part of the lure of it as well.
Oh, for sure.
People don't realize that.
Yeah.
People not involved in the world. Because you got to remember, there's also certain dynamics of the certain people who are buying these type of vehicles. You have the one person that's like a car addict and they like it for what it is. And you have somebody whose money doesn't even mean anything to them. There's no value to it. And they're like, yeah, I'll take one. I'll have one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But that specific dynamic of a V12 screaming is something that very few cars can replicate.
Yeah.
Very few.
The Aventador just sounds ridiculous.
Yeah.
The Ferrari V12s sound the same, but are not nearly as like crazy.
I think the
looking.
Ferrari V8s sound better than the Ferrari V12s.
You think so?
I do think so.
I don't know.
Like a 458.
Here's the thing.
You know the 458 revs to 9,000 RPMs, right?
Yeah.
That you got to hear.
So does the V12.
Does it though?
Yes.
You're confident?
I am pretty confident.
So you think it sounds better than the
It's
V8?
north of 8,000 for sure. I want to say
I don't know, man. That
9,000.
V8 sounds so pure.
The boys over at Novatech make an exhaust for the V12 Ferraris, and let me tell you,
Shout out Novatech.
yeah, shout out Novatech. That thing sounds just ridiculous. I saw an F12 not too long ago that for sure had a Novatech exhaust. By the way, it sounded, and it ripped down the street, and it was a thing of beauty.
Yeah, we're talking about the difference of decimals. Like it's insanity. You get a V12, no matter what it is.
So here's the thing: you
nice.
can get that F12 with that sound for $220.
That's what that price range is.
Pretty sure. You can get an F12 under $250.
That's not bad.
Yeah, and you put that up against like a 30,000 mile Aventador at $450. So for $200,000 less, I can still get that V12 scream.
What year F12 you talking? Spitball me.
I don't even remember the years.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm asking. I'm trying to picture
Probably
what year it
14.
would be. 14. That's not terrible.
13.
That's not terrible.
Yeah,
I would easily take that over an 18 Aventador. No, I wouldn't. Would I?
Well, we're talking about for that price.
For the price
change.
The price. If money mattered.
If money
mattered.
If money doesn't matter, obviously the Aventador.
Well, you can't say money doesn't matter because if money doesn't matter, then we're in a whole different range.
Yeah.
Then I'm getting a full carbon fiber body Bugatti at that point. I'm just going to be an Andrew Tate replica at that point. Yeah,
is that number one
for me?
Yeah.
If money didn't matter,
I
don't know. To be honest with you, I don't think so.
Really?
I think I would get a Pagani.
Pagani.
I think the craftsmanship and like the dynamic of Pagani. Because you've seen the interior of Pagani, correct?
Yes.
It literally looks like a fighter jet.
It's
Every
insane.
single little knob and the stitching is like
And the details.
so specifically crafted.
You might
It
not
is
be able
insane.
to drive it that much either, though.
You won't be able
You
to.
have the McLaren problem.
Yep, literally, that's exactly the point. But even still, you have a Pagani, you're not really going crazy.
Like
driving
Chirons
those
are
things.
like bulletproof, apparently.
Supposedly, yeah. I mean,
So
supposedly, I mean,
that's what you get with the backing of VW.
yeah, if VW's got his hands in something, it's relatively going to
We
be
already know
reliable.
AMG is not known for being reliable.
Not at all. Not at all. But
Even with
I
the
would probably take
Mercedes.
a Pagani. What's your car for no money didn't matter?
If money didn't matter, that's the thing is that there's not one at that point.
That's fair.
There's tons,
Because
but
like 6 pop in my head.
probably the Chiron Per Sport.
That's really your money doesn't matter.
Yeah,
car?
like
I respect that.
Andrew Tate.
Literally like Andrew Tate.
But
Would you get a copper like that or
No,
no?
I wouldn't get a
No?
copper. I don't know exactly what I would get.
Do you like the copper look?
I like the copper.
I also like the copper look.
I think his spec actually looks really good.
So I think his spec is
With the red
amazing.
calipers,
That's
I never
exactly
would
what sells me
I
is the
never
red
would expect
calipers.
copper with red calipers in my head.
it looks beautiful though.
It looks so good.
It's beautiful. I think even I like it better than most. I mean, the only color that I used to like with red calipers that's a little less traditional than like or white or black is like a blue, kind of like we call it like the Superman spec.
Yeah.
That I like. But seeing that copper with the red calipers and the way he has it set up, I mean, granted, it's also because it's a Bugatti. So Bugatti could be highlight pink and I would probably still like
You can make it almost anything.
You can make it almost anything.
But the Chiron Pure Sport might be my favorite. That
I
car,
respect that.
I would if money didn't matter, I would literally just be ripping that everywhere.
Everywhere.
I'd be up on the crest in that car. People
You'd
would be like,
ripping
wow.
it. They'd be like, this dude does not care.
They'd be like,
about a
wow,
damn thing.
this dude must be ridiculously loaded, but at least he's driving it like it deserves to be driven.
Speaking of specs, I think this would be a good time we can segue into this new segment here. New segment alert. Spec check.
You want to hit spec check?
Let's hit some spec checks.
Okay.
Spec check is basically
Yeah, explain
Gavin
it
and
to
I,
me.
because you guys gotta understand this simple dynamic.
And I hope you have someone. I hope you have someone like this.
Yes,
you-
I hope you
everyone-
have. If you don't have,
Everyone needs someone like this.
exactly. If you don't have, if you're into cars to any degree, and you don't have a friend or somebody that you can show cars to, send them to, go look at cars, go to car shows, talk about cars at least, you need one in your life.
But at the very basic, someone to send specs to
Yeah.
on Instagram.
Yeah. What else are you spending your day doing if you're not on Instagram with? First off, if your Instagram feed's not full of cars, then I
DM
don't even know what you're
Supercar
doing.
connection with the
Yes.
specs you love.
Yes.
If
We
you
will
have no
be-
one else to send them
Yes,
to.
we will be your friend in this dynamic. We'll talk all about all the specs. You want to throw one of these up here? What's the first one we're going to talk about?
Well, how about the first one he sent me? We'll start with this
Let's do
Lamborghini
it.
Cyan.
Wow. What's your opinion on this thing? I mean, the fact that it's a Scion or the Scion, whatever how you want to pronounce it, is the one dynamic where no matter what the color is, it's insane.
So
But
we'll be posting spec checks each week.
Yep.
At Supercar Connection on the gram.
Yep.
And
I might will edit this in the photo into this
we'll
video,
put
right?
it on the video
might,
too,
might be
but
here.
if you're listening
here.
on like Spotify or
maybe
Apple,
maybe like right here might be a good point. I don't even know where the head level will be at, but like
yeah,
maybe
we'll put it
like right here in
we'll
this
put it
area.
right in the
you'll
middle.
see it.
But if you're listening on Spotify or Apple, then you can check the gram for the spec checks for
There
the
it
week.
is. Yeah, that way you have something when you're driving.
We-
I mean,
like,
not
we
while
want-
you're driving.
We
don't
want
check,
this to
but
be like a conversation. So you're seeing the car, you're seeing what we
Exactly.
think, you're going to
Yes.
get to know us better, all
Yeah.
that stuff. Like
they're
that's what,
they're sitting wherever they're listening to it and they're arguing what we're talking about, X, Y, and Z.
Yeah. maybe you love it. Maybe you start to you start to learn that you're more on Joe's side. Maybe you start to learn you're more on my side.
See what taste you lean towards.
Yeah, but what we're looking at here, we got a cyan with it's a red to white fade.
This new trend with
the
these
theme today is fades.
Today's trend is fades.
Yeah,
but
because
I
of the
think
trend.
These fade wraps or colors that they're doing, because most of them are wraps, but
but this is paint.
this is paint on this one.
All three that we're going to look at today, I'm pretty sure are paint.
Factory.
Yes, because people are specing them factory now.
I mean, that does change the dynamic. But this
My
fade
boy
trend
Vic
that's
loves
happening.
this. Our Vic,
Vic is a huge
RDB's
fan.
like, hey,
RDB,
we
I will
started
say-
this trend.
Yeah. RDB Vic and the RDB shop will 100% claim they started this,
I mean-
which due respect they probably did because
But-
I saw some of those raps.
But was it them
fade.
or was it Chris Brown?
I think it was Chris Brown.
Because
Chris
Chris
Brown's
Brown's
like,
the one-
I want something wild on
You-
my Aventador.
So did Chris Brown invent the fade?
Because Chris Brown's fade was the first one he did was insane. No, it was like a multicolor fade or like a highlight pink to a highlight purple.
I don't exactly remember. Well, let's talk about
Let's get
this
into
red
this
on
one.
white CN, red on the
Sorry,
front, white on the back.
I get distracted very easily.
We got a red and white black
See, now-
interior.
This I think changes the dynamic. I
Yeah.
think this adds to the again not the lure of the car, but this helps the outside with the inside. The fact that the interior's like this compared to the outside as well, it helps the overall spec. For me, this is a win. I like this. I
This is a
would
win.
definitely be a fan of this.
I'm not a fan.
You don't like this.
Yeah.
What do you not like about this?
It's the for some reason the red to the white just doesn't feel good to me.
The colors, or would you swap them? The white would be in the front, the red in the back. Would that change it for you?
Maybe
the tone of the red. Maybe
that sounds a little better. Maybe
a little better.
But I think the red to white, I think it's too stark of a contrast. And then we got all the black accents. Like it just feels like too much going on. And then in the interior, we're juggling 3 colors. That's a little much.
For you, what? It's too much to handle for you, or what?
Yeah, like on the seat, we got red, black, and white.
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
It's just a lot.
Look at that. Look at the door panel. Look at the trim panel on the door. You're telling me you don't like that pattern? It looks insane.
I mean, it looks crazy.
I feel like I'm looking at what's okay for all the gamers, car guys that are gamers. What I'm thinking of what Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 camo. What am I thinking?
This looks like a
digital
gaming
or
chair.
fall or whatever it was. There's a camo in one of the Call of Duties. I think it's called like digital or something like that. And this is bringing back memories from when I was like 12 years old and I would just play Call of Duty for like 9 hours a day. This is tapping into that part of my brain. This looks insane. I can't believe you don't like this.
This looks like a gaming chair in here. That's
what I'm saying.
It's just the red, black, and white. And red, black, and white were my high school colors. So
that's why it's rubbing you off, right?
It maybe so. But if this was, we'll get to it. If this was red to black, this might be a different story.
I give you.
It's the red to white that I'm not really digging. So why don't we just go to the red to black?
We'll stay red to black. Stay with Lamborghini
because this is red to black.
This is special. Yeah, this is special. This is nice.
And the Technico, which I think is like super underrated. I would think so as well. I would take a Technico over an STO.
You would?
Yeah. I know no one.
I might not be in the same boat as you, but I respect it.
No one else would, but
see, my thing about this, because when you get a car like this and you get a fade like this, the whole point of it, or at least the part of the dynamic that comes out, is like the wildly like exotic look to it. But something about the Technica with this specific black to red fade, it almost keeps it like not classy, but it looks like a cleaner fade look. Where more likely when you have that fade look, you want it to be wild. You want people to look at it and go, "What the heck is that?"
Right.
Versus this one, I look at it, I go, that flows.
It flows.
It flows. It looks like, I look at it and it doesn't go.
The red on white looks like an eyesore to me.
Exactly. It kind of does. It kind of does. I give you that. But red to black, it just blends well.
Yeah. Because the question is, does it make the car better or worse? And the red to white, I think, makes the car worse. The red to black I don't know. I probably wouldn't spec a fade myself still.
You wouldn't?
If I
You had the opportunity to spec a fade. Okay, let's say this.
I wouldn't do it.
Not paint. You had the opportunity to get a wrap. And you could do any fade wrap. You wouldn't do it?
No, I'd still rather have
no
a solid.
Cost.
No.
Sponsorship dynamic. RDB comes to you and they're like, hey.
Sponsorship, sure.
RDB comes to you and go, Gavin McDaniel, we would like to sponsor your 4C. We're going to do a fade wrap on the 4C for free. You're telling me that you wouldn't.
I'd look like such a poser with a fade wrap on a 4C.
Who cares? Imagine this red to black fade on your 4C. That would look wild. You open the door, the red interior too. It's amazing.
It would definitely look wild. All right, maybe you convince me.
Now let's go to the last one, the real eyesore. This makes me want to throw up. I cannot believe that somebody would do this and take this spec on the car. I mean, I'm also talking crap because it's a 765 LT. So if I could get my hands on one, it could be crap brown and I would still like it. But if I can be picky here when it comes to this, I think this is the grossest thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
The grossest thing ever. I'm into
You're telling
this.
me you're a fan?
I'm into this, yeah.
You're into this?
Yeah.
But this is exactly what I don't understand how you like this.
I love blue
What
cars.
is the appeal of this?
I've always loved blue cars.
Does it have different calipers in the back or different color calipers in the back? Or
no,
the same?
it's still orange.
Okay.
But yeah, just I don't know. The blue, these two blues just work well together. I was always a Titans fan, so the navy with the blue has always been a.
That's terrible.
This interior.
That is terrible.
This interior is hot.
What I will like, if you go back to the other slide, that the fact that it has the front blue at the bottom of the arrow wing is a nice touch.
Yes, definitely a nice touch.
Two blues together with the orange. Is that orange?
It's orange.
Orange. That is disgusting. I can't believe that you like this.
You can't believe it, huh?
No, I mean, to be honest with you, maybe it's just the way that the two blues contrast.
So that's how I feel about the red on white car. I can't believe you like it.
Yeah, but you're talking about red on white is one of the most predominant colors on cars. Now you're talking about you get these two crazier blues. Who buys a supercar and goes, I want a navy blue supercar?
I don't know.
And then on top of that, I think, okay, you know what it might be? I think the navy is too dominant for me. And I'm not a navy guy. So if you swapped that front blue with the navy, I might like it a little more because it'd be more baby blue than it would be the navy. But I'm not a big, would you call that navy or am I tripping?
It's navy.
It's navy, right?
Yeah.
Look at that. You look at the door. Go back to the door. You liked it? You're telling me that you like this?
I do like it.
You're insane, Gavin. You're insane. This is, I mean, again, 765 LT. So like I said, it It could be no paint on it. It could literally be. You could literally sand it down and you could leave the sand look, and I would still like it.
Well, then you have like carbon, right?
That's true.
You'd have a matte carbon look.
I would have a matte car. That'd be nice. But I don't know if you have this type of car, and this is the problem with this type of dynamic is we're looking at this car as like we're looking at a 765 LT and we're talking about the colors, but the person who probably owns this car or buys this car, they don't care. They're paying $700,000 on this car. You think they care about the? You think the paint job matters to them? They'll take it anywhere, like change the color. They'll repaint it. It's
crazy how crazy the specs have gotten over the years. Where back in the day, no one wanted a crazy spec.
Nobody.
It was like you ordered a supercar in black, white, silver.
That was it, standard.
Or maybe if you're bold and you're buying a Lamborghini, then you get yellow or green, and then maybe or Ferrari's always red.
Ferrari. Well,
and if you're bold, you go
dynamic.
Yellow.
Who do you think Lamborghini is the one that started the slight trend of like the crazier colorways that we see on these cars? Or what would you attest or credit this whole new crazier spec trend?
I don't know. It just happened like when the second wave, when that like midpoint, that 2010 midpoint, when all the older supercars like transitioned, the newer ones, Huracan, Aventador,
right,
the new Ferraris, and then the big three came out,
right.
McLaren had a bunch of colors.
McLaren
Not that they necessarily started it, but they came out and were dropping a bunch of colors. But I don't know, something happened in that time where people just wanted the crazier colors.
You know, I'm gonna go crazy here. I'm gonna not try to get too conspiracy dynamic into this too. I'm gonna try to relate it, but I think the growth and the more common social media has become in our day-to-day lives, we get so obsessed with like the imagery of things. So a plain white Lamborghini isn't enough now. If you're gonna have a Lamborghini, it needs to be this wild, overdone spec. So when people see you, they go, "Oh, that's somebody."
Yeah.
When in reality, I would be happy with any color Lamborghini, any color, anything. But I think that those two things, granted, maybe I'm crazy, but I think those two things are correlated. Social media growth with these wilder specs, because now you have the dynamic of people buying cars or having specs. Because let's talk about this. No money doesn't matter, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have these people buying these cars solely for what? They like the car. You have someone who's not a car guy, money doesn't matter. They're solely buying it for the image.
For sure.
That's it. So they're like, all right, what can boost my image the most? A standard white Lambo with silver wheels, or a black to red fade Lambo with 4Giottos, the whole nine?
Yeah, for sure.
I think that's the whole point of this whole new trend, which I'm not against. I like this trend.
I think you're right.
I'm just not a big social media plays a big role. I think it does.
But I was I liked the crazy colors from the beginning.
Yeah, you've always been what's the Lambo color that I always forget how to pronounce or don't know how to say? The purple, the one that you like obsessed with.
Viola Parsife.
That one. Viola Parsife.
Except
Viola Parsife.
Viola Mithras is the best.
Viola what?
Mithras.
Bless you.
Mithras. I don't know how to say that in Italian.
No, but that's
Mithras.
You've always been a fan of those specs. I just can't do it, man. I can't do it.
You don't like the purple, but you like the repeat blue now.
I like repeat blue. You know, honestly, I think I'm semi.
You're into some blues.
I'm into some blues. Blues I can get into because
if some light blues come out, you're about it.
Blues are growing on me. I'm also, what's growing on me a lot, and like I'm like heavy considering it on some on possibly even the C8. White wheels. That look is growing on me tremendously.
White wheels.
I used to think white wheels were one of the most idiotic things you could possibly do. You're telling me one of the parts of the car that gets the dirtiest, you're gonna make it white? I'm like, for me, I'm a big less hassle kind of guy. I'm like, if I can keep my car as clean as possible, I'm always like a clean freak when it comes to it. So I'm like, white wheels. I'm like, the upkeep on white wheels. I'm like, I can't do it. It's the same thing when like Tesla was like big on the white interior. Everyone's like, white interior Tesla.
But that stuff is like stain free, isn't it?
Is it?
I think it's pretty crazy. Yeah.
I don't think it's stain free.
I think you take a magic eraser, Mr. Clean Magic Eraser.
I don't know,
and
man.
It's just gone.
I don't know. I can't.
You
imagine.
Got kids and you're getting the white interior.
Well, think about it. You and I are big Crest guys, so we go up to the Crest relatively often. No, so I'm taking my white wheels up to the Crest, and we're ripping through, and I'm getting road rash and all this type of stuff, and rocks flying and hitting the wheels. You don't think those things are going to get busted up?
I don't know about busted up, but you're going to have to clean them when you get back.
Clean them consistently, consistently.
Yeah, I like the bronze wheels better.
You've always been a bronze wheel guy.
Yeah,
you have for a long. You were a bronze wheel guy before the bronze wheel trend was even becoming a thing. I give you that credit. You've liked bronze wheels for years. Now they're like a whole dynamic. Now it's like
everyone's looking for a reason to be different. That's
telling you, it's all it is.
So all the stuff that was like subcultures is becoming mainstream.
It is becoming. It's
So you
flipping
had like
now.
yeah, you had like the bronze wheel guys, which were kind of like a little subgroup of people.
Yep.
And now bronze wheels are
Like an ugly step
hot.
dynamic. People tell you like, no, I like bronze wheeled. I would look at you and be like, I don't want to talk to you or associate with you.
You have Porsche unveiling cars with like the launch spec is blue wheels with the GT4 RS.
That's pretty crazy, huh?
And then their red wheels for the GT3 RS. Like that's the launch
The
spec.
red wheel one is pretty insane with the red side on the.
That's an
it's
option.
Like the red stripe on the lower part of the door. I think it's or even the rocker. The fact that these manufacturers are debuting the cars like that with these crazy specs is literally a testament to the where we've gotten in this point in this world, in this car crazy industry world, whatever you want to call it, is insane to me. Because I don't see this trend stopping. I think it's only going to continue getting crazier and crazier. Like wait till these Reveltos start hitting the road and we start seeing some of the specs people are going to do on these things.
It's going to be crazy.
In what do you say? Like in 12 years when the Revelto is a little more common.
Pretty sure I've already seen a color shifting one.
Something crazy like that.
Yeah. Like the ad personam program is popping off.
You know how many Teslas I've seen with like multicolor wraps?
That's the other thing. Everyone came up with their like their version of the ad personam. You know what I'm talking about?
I do not know what you're talking about.
So like Lamborghini ad personam, where you can like really get down and customize all the extra details that aren't on the configurator.
Yes.
And then Ferrari has the tailor-made program, and then McLaren has MSO, special operations.
I forgot that you're like a fiend when it comes to these like designing.
Yeah, so each company has their own like little like. I don't know what to even call it, but like a tag basically that's like you get to customize more details. So you can tell us a color of leather that we don't have on the website and we'll put in your car. That's the ad persona. It's like working with you one-on-one for custom details. They all have that now.
Honest question.
Yeah.
How many hours or days, if you totaled out through your entire life, how many hours or days, if it gets there, or weeks, do you think you've spent on configurator websites?
Configurator websites, several hours.
Hours over your lifespan.
Hours.
I think we could easily like you probably spent enough time where we can categorize as days.
I've done over an hour in one session before. I've sat down and been like specking a Lambo for
that is insane
over an hour.
To me. That is insane to me. I'm like, if once a configurator drops or a car drops, I go in. I have my spec in mind. I throw it on there. I look at it. I'm like, yep. And then I say, I'm down. You're sitting there and you're changing the stitching and the seatbelt color. And then
what's color is how good some of
this Alcantara versus this Alcantara. And you're sitting there, all the details. I think that's insanity.
Maserati used to have one of the best configurators in the game.
Don't tell me that.
One of the early configurators when they first started coming out. Maseratis, you could like change the stitching style and all that stuff. Like you could really get into the details.
You know, maybe that makes sense now. That's probably why they charge $240,000 for literally the biggest joke I've ever seen in my entire life.
So that's just like that's that dynamic. But I have spent several hours on config, and you have too.
I mean, I've spent a healthy amount of time, probably not more than a normal person, obviously, but definitely nowhere near your level of it.
That's why I know all the colors and stuff.
That's how you know how to all the dynamics.
Yeah, when something comes out and I live on those for a while. I haven't been on them too much lately though. I need to get back to the config.
You need to get back. You need to dive deep into it. You need to see
now.
I need to see who's the top of the game now. All these new colors coming out, especially with these. Do these fades have paint job names?
No.
They don't?
They're definitely like two colors that they have.
But so I'm saying, is that what it calls? Like, okay, if you have a Lambo that's purple fade to, what was the other one you were saying? The
Viola Mithras?
That one. What color is that? That's purple as well?
Yeah,
They're just two tones of purple?
Yeah.
So you're telling me if you have a two-tone purple fade on Lamborghini, you have to say, oh, this colorway is technically Viola Parsifet. What's the second one?
Viola Mithras.
I don't know why I can't. That's not sticking in my brain. Viola Mithras.
Say that. You'd work with like ad personam. And you'd be like, yeah, I want a color fade. And then be like, all right, for a color fade, we do this much. Like, what two colors do you want? And then you tell them the two colors you want. So it wouldn't be like a one color car. It would be a car that was it would be two.
Like if you're looking at a listing for this type of thing, you're telling me you're not scrolling at the bottom and it says exterior color. It's not going to say.
They would just pick one. Like on that red on white, they're just going to say red.
Red.
Because all these sites, they're not. I know this. I worked for one of these sites. All these sites, they don't have two-tone exterior colors like that. Or if they do, they're usually talking about like a roof color. Right. So you know what? Maybe you can list it as two. But the problem is, it won't be an option.
Not on like a configurator website. You have to get into the nitty gritty to be able to
Auto Trader.
Got it.
Like Auto Trader, when you're listing the car,
right? Like you can't filter
two colors.
I want to filter these two colors like this.
Yeah, and it's not going to be an option for me to choose. When it's like if I'm inputting this Lamborghini in Auto Trader to sell, like it's only going to give me the standard Lamborghini colors to choose from.
We don't know. It could get more common as time goes on.
It could.
I just think my whole big thing is if we go to a car show and I see something like that and like the owner comes up to me and he literally tells me like, no, this is, I'm like, look, I'm like, this is a nice purple Lamborghini. And he tells me it's not purple. it's Viola Parfit. I'm gonna slap the hell out of him.
Yeah, he deserves it.
He deserves it at that point.
He deserves
like I'm gonna pop his tires. Like at that point, you are in doucher. But
yeah.
regardless or not.
All right, so we got market check,
new segment,
talking about the market, and we got spec check.
Spec check.
They're both checks. So we'll see if we stick with that.
See, we stick to that trend.
Spec check is locked in.
I like
just
spec
so you
check.
know,
I think spec check is locked in.
Spec check is not going anywhere.
We're dialed in on that one.
Market
Let us
check,
know in the comments what you guys think of these two segments. That way we can kind of build and change things, tweak things. Should we double them up? Should we space them out?
Yeah, market check
down
name
in the comments
may change,
you guys like them.
But we'll always be talking about the market. So
Absolutely.
that's going to be huge.
Absolutely. Speaking of market and purchasing and different stuff like that.
You want to get into that?
I mean, yeah, we might as well for the viewers and sake like that. But your boy just,
Wait. You don't want to let me give you the alley-oop?
That's fine. Lob it up, baby.
All right, my boy Joe Murph here just pulled up in a new whip today.
New whip alert.
Let's hear what you got. What'd you get?
I was thankful enough. I just purchased the, to give a little background, me living in the city that I live in specifically, I think the imagery living in the city that I live in is very important. So I just copped, and again, I'm not going to say where I live, but based on the vehicle purchase, I'll let you guys hone down to Los Angeles. If you
live in LA,
you live in LA or you live in Southern California, what I'm about to tell you, the car, you're going to be able to pinpoint where I live. But I just got a G-Wagon, and I love it.
What color is it?
It is all black, gloss black. I know Mercedes has the matte finish.
Yeah,
but this is gloss black. Some silver trimmings that I'm not too fond about, but we can get rid of those things.
Yeah, that's easy.
Yeah, it's very easy. And then my selling point, or what I really loved about it, was it's red interior. The red interior on these things look nasty. But as everybody most knows, G-Wagons are some of the most common and just amazing vehicles. I've never been, well, first off, I'm not a big Mercedes guy, really. I'm not a big Euro car in terms of like Mercedes, BMW, Audi. I love them. I respect them. I think they're insane cars, but ownership of them has always kind of been a little dynamic for me.
Mm-hmm.
But seeing so many of these things and consistently hearing people say positive things about it, I was like, let me give one a shot. So I had the opportunity to be able to drive one for a little bit and take a trip with it. And it was nothing short of spectacular. So it literally, I was like, the second it happened, I was like, I got to make this happen. So I was able to work it out where it's going to work for my benefit. But these G-Wagons are honestly pretty insane. The way that they drive, because the whole big knock on them was the way that they're designed, kind of like the Jeepy dynamic, the boxiness. They can't drive that crazy. It literally like you're driving a tank, but like the tank is floating. Normally, when you drive a tank, you feel the heaviness, or
That's
feel
not how the old
around.
one feels, though, right?
No.
I heard the old ones are rough.
No, the old one is like a World War II tank.
Yeah,
like it's rough.
But this thing is beautiful, huh?
This thing is beautiful. This thing rides. It rides like a new Mercedes should ride.
Well, by the next time we talk, I'll ride in it.
Oh, absolutely. You'll drive it.
Yeah.
At that point, absolutely. And you tell me what you think, because you're a big,
I'll tell you,
touchy-feely type of driver.
For
So
sure.
you compared to most people, you have I know what you like on top. You have the ability to be able to feel every little tweak, every little turn, hear the noise, touch this. Most people don't have, at least people who aren't in the industry, don't have that trained ear or the trained feel. You have it insanely. So I want you to drive it and you tell me what you think of it. Because I guarantee you're going to drive it and you're going to get addicted to it.
Okay.
I'm telling you.
Yeah. I'm here for it.
New car alert. Car alert. So now we're G-Wagon fans. We're Mercedes fans. Now.
I've always been a G-Wagon. What's funny is I was watching episode 2, I think, and we got into a G-Wagon. I was like, what else is that price? We're talking about that 230 mark. And I was like, G-Wagons, how you charging 230 for a G-Wagon? You're like, yeah, that's crazy. You're like, maybe the low hundreds, maybe it starts to make sense. We were already jockeying about that. And then a couple weeks later,
it's crazy how much
you drove it and you fell in love. And then
I'm telling you, my whole thing was I was talking purely out of the dynamic of not understanding why people like them so much.
Hate from outside the club.
Huge hate from outside the club dynamic. I understood them being vehicles that you could, for the whole write-off subsection, tax section, I'm like, okay, that's fine. But there's a lot of other vehicles that qualify for that same tax write-off. Like I'm pretty sure Model X's qualify, Suburbans, Escalades, G-Wagons, of course. They all qualify for that type of dynamic. So I'm like, why is everyone so prevalent on these G-Wagons? Especially MSRP. You're talking about going to the dealership and getting one for $230,000. I'm like, there's no way. In that same price range.
Yeah.
Now I get it. I apologize to every Mercedes and G-Wagon owner, but I am now on the train.
Well, I mean,
and I ain't leaving.
it doesn't surprise me. You drove it and came back. You fell in love. You started looking at them, sending me listings, all that stuff, and now you pulled up in one. So I'm happy for you. It's
Thanks,
beautiful.
brother. I appreciate it.
I can't wait to feel it.
Now my whole thing is now speaking in the SUV world. Like now, I mean, granted, it's not performance wise. It's not anywhere in the super SUV world.
Right.
I mean, you're talking about it's a 550 too. It's not a G63. It's not the more performance version one, because I think the G63 it's got a couple different tweaks, but performance wise, it's leaps and bounds. I think it's like upwards. I don't know. Don't quote me on this, but I think it's high 500 or even low 600 horsepower comparative to the 550. The one that I have now is like 420, 450. Mm-hmm. But again, the purpose of it's not like I bought it to get all this performance out of it.
Right.
But
we got the C8.
This is what I'm saying. We got the C8 for that. But the whole point of it too, the performance aspect of it, it's nowhere super SUV, but I would honestly take it. Having driven the Urus, having driven a Bentayga, I would take that over both of them.
Really?
Easily.
Nice.
The problem with the Urus is like, you can tell that when they came out with the concept of the car, that they were like, let's make an SUV supercar blend. And it's people say it's comfortable. People talk about that. It's not. It's if you compare the G-Wagon to that car, obviously two different cars, two different purposes, but the comfort of the G-Wagon, the ride,
I've heard
the way you feel, you're hopped up on there.
I've heard the Performante is stiff.
The Performante, I can only imagine.
Because I'm sure the regular Urus is already pretty stiff.
It's stiff. I've heard
the Performante is really stiff.
I can only imagine.
And I sat in a Turbo GT one time, Cayenne Turbo GT, like the Porsche Urus basically, and the seat was like, it was like a bolstered seat to hold you in place, but it was stiff. It was hard. It was stiff.
I'm telling
everything felt really tight, and I was like, this is not really what I'd want in an SUV.
Exactly.
I'm fine with this in my tiny little low car, but I don't think I want the stiff seat and the probably super stiff suspension and all that stuff in an SUV.
The ride. I'm telling you,
it's
ride.
Not the dynamic I'm looking for.
The G-Wagon ride, part of the I think the lure too is the way where it sits, where your center of gravity is, and the way you ride when you're in it. It's a special feeling. Because again, don't get me wrong, those typical American SUVs, like the bigger style SUVs, have a nice flowy big SUV look and feel when you drive them. But something about the way the G-Wagon sits and the way that you drive it and the way I'm sitting there, it hits different.
I can't wait.
It reworks.
I can't wait.
But yeah.
Well,
enough about these whole German dynamics.
I'll report back next episode on how that feels.
Yes, sir. Comment down below. Let us know what you think of the new segments. Gavin will hopefully come back with a good rapport of the G-Wagon, and then we'll get into whatever we get into next episode.
Yes, for sure.
Thanks for tuning in.
We're out.